We're going to be talking all about apparently making sure that my video works. All right, there's my video. Okay. YouTube wasn't showing it to me. We're good now. We're good. Of course, we do these live every single week. Well, most weeks. I did skip last week because of the East Coast Rep Festival and was going to do it Tuesday, but I am still physically recovering from ERRF. No, none of the human malware, but my back is just, it's bad. Either way, doesn't matter. We're here, and that's all that matters. I've been talking about competition today, Season 3, Episode 5, talking about your competitors, my competitors, why it can be a good thing, why it can be a bad thing, why you should care, why you shouldn't care. There's a lot to deal with here. Something that we brought up in Wednesday's video when I went to California and visited JinkSpot, as well as going to scan the San Francisco 49ers. It's actually was there to scan the 49ers, and I had a free evening, so I started calling 3D printing companies, and that's how I found them. Because ultimately, I wanted to find one out there that we could film with. But when you boil it way down, JinkSpot and 3D Musketeers are direct competitors. But because we are so geographically separate, we're not really competitors. So if you're looking at competitors, even a few counties away that don't really touch your area and you don't touch their area, then there's really no big deal, right? But let's kind of define the thoughts of what a competitor is, why it's a deal, and why it's something that we have to kind of handle as business owners. Because ultimately, you will have competitors. There is no way around it. It is a guarantee. It is simply a matter of when and how you deal with it. I see Jim Frederick is here. Shotgunner 5609 is here as well. Appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. We've got two different types of competitors in competition, right? You've got the ones that you can be totally friends with. You guys can work together. You can share business back and forth. There's a mutual understanding of who owns what, who does what, and everything like that. Then there are the bad competitors, those that are simply there to make your life complicated. And those are interesting to deal with. It is a more complicated scenario, obviously, but we're going to talk about them a little bit. I guess Shotgunner's name is Matt. How you doing? William Henry says hello. Appreciate y'all coming out and hanging out on an early Saturday afternoon. But let's kind of dive into the bad kind of competitor, because I know that's why a lot of people here are like, oh, now I've got this guy being a dick. Yep. That'll happen. We have a local company that is directly running ads against 3D Musketeers. So when you search for my company, they will come up as the first two links because those are the ad links on Google. I know who they are. We've had this discussion, and we have a mutual understanding of as soon as their thing is done, like their ad placement is done, they will not be renewing it because I will do the same thing to them. And I said, here's the deal. We can both spend money to steal each other's business, or we can leave each other alone. And the guy's like, yeah, that's fair. I said, what's the CPC? Anyways, he said, for you, like a nickel. I said, that's actually pretty good. So hilariously, I might start running ads against my own company so that when you search for 3D Musketeers, the first two links will be ads for 3D Musketeers. It's a weird one. But we have a couple of local people that I am decidedly not friends with. We do not like them. They have attempted to do terrible things to my company in the past, and I stay out of their way. They try to get into mine, and I just continue to move around it, because ultimately, it's not always worth the bullshit. It's just not. When you work with people that are there to be problems, you have to think like they do. Oh, hey, Polymate. How you doing, dude? Zombie Hedgehog is here. Geek Toy Box is here. It's great meeting you, Geek Toy Box, at the East Coast Rep Festival, dude. It was a lot of fun. And anyone that did meet ERRF, put that in the comments. Let me know. But we do have some people that are just problems, and you can deal with them a couple of ways, right? You can choose to be the bigger company, ignore them, or you can choose to be the other problem. My dad's given me 2 rules in life, and I think that putting these rules out there early will kind of allow us to better understand the decisions that we've made. Rule number 1 is don't be a dick. Rule number 2 is if you're going to be a dick, be a big one, right? And if a company is going to act upon rule number 2, do you decide that rule number 2 is the chaos you're going to choose? Or is rule number 1 really where you want to hang out? It varies so much, because if someone gets aggressive with you and your response is to just be aggressive, who's really the one that's going to come off as the aggressor? If someone is making fun of you, if they're saying, reasonably defamatory things online, be so professionally courteous when at all possible. Kill them with kindness, right? You're acting on rule number 2. You're just choosing not to be a jerk about it. You're choosing to allow people that see this other company acting poorly to see them acting poorly and you acting correctly. If you also act poorly, the both of you look like idiots and no one gets the damn business. It's like when Coca-Cola put out Clear Coke. They did it specifically to spite Pepsi. They knew it was going to be a failure. They deliberately made it taste bad so that Clear Pepsi wouldn't catch on, right? That's a rule number 2 move. That's also a big, that's some energy that I don't have like the effort to do, because that's like millions of dollars they just decidedly threw away because it was a better benefit to them than it was to try to deal with the marketing side of it. But as small companies, we don't necessarily get to play that game. Zombie Hedgehog says, I'm going to open my own printing and scanning business and charge $10 less than you. I highly recommend you do. Considering you are nowhere near me, by all means, go ahead. I recommend that people try to compete. But don't try to be the cheapest person on the block. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to price competition, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. We've had distinct podcasts about price competition, but I want to at least touch on it a little bit here. When we deal with those local assholes, that's really the only way to talk about them. It's just they're assholes, right? They're not good people. They're deliberately being problematic. Zombie says, I'll just outsource everything to you. You, sir, are missing the cost of shipping where you are going to lose your margins. So best of luck to you. We have found that during the human malware incident, I met all of my competitors, except the 2 that are problematic, because they were the only 2 companies that outright refused to produce PPE during the malware incident. We all remember this, early 2020. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't say it because algorithm things. But that was a time where I'm like, oh, okay, they really do just suck. And there's nothing that I'm going to be able to do to change it. There's nothing that I can do to fix it. But what ultimately came of all of that was a meeting of all of us that effectively competed with each other. And we put it all on the table. Who is our target markets? Who do we work with and why? We agreed to divvy up the area. There's like 5 or 6 major counties in Tampa Bay. So we agreed to kind of divvy it up. We agreed that if someone came to us because they had a bad experience with somebody else, that we would not then refer them back to that person, right? But we had a mutual understanding of if we're all fighting over the same slice of pie, no one gets to eat. If we all choose different slices of pie to go after, then everyone gets to eat and everybody gets to be happy. The only slice of pie that we all collectively agreed that we would be working on is aerospace, because there's enough money in aerospace that all of us could have business in it and none of us would be competing with each other. We all also collectively agreed to not compete on price. We didn't tell each other our pricing, but we said, here's the deal. I'm not going to try to figure out yours. You're not going to try to figure out mine. We are not here to play that game. Because if we were, we'd call ourselves Creality. A lot of companies out there want to be the cheapest, and I hate that. Because unfortunately, that does get you the money. but it also devalues not only your time, but the time of every other person involved in the industry in your local area, right? If I say I'm going to start doing 3D printing at $1 an hour, right? I'll get all the business locally. There's not a single company that would ever attempt to compete with me because I'm losing my ass. And yes, ultimately I would make a profit, but it would be a gross profit. I would not make a net profit. Net profit would be including all the ancillary expenses, one of them being my time or the time of the staff, which is literally the biggest expense in our company. Oh, never been. Okay, that's right. You guys can't cuss in the comments. I can cuss. Jim says never been called a dick, an asshole, but only. But only by those who know me. Yeah, that's fair. You know, people don't. People don't normally talk poorly about me unless you know me, and then you're just doing it because it's fun. Um, yeah, it is. It is complicated because if you can't get a meeting like that with your local competition, you kind of just have to call them and be like, hey, I'm starting a business. We are effectively going to be competitors. I just want to let you know I'm not here to steal your business. I want to be friends with you. I'd like to work with you. And when possible, outsource work when I don't have enough capability. That's the one thing I love about having local competitors. Because in the event that we don't have capacity to handle a job, I call someone who can. We had someone that reached out to do a 1-for-1 scale Shredder cosplay for Halloween. Let me remind you that Halloween is in 14 days or 16 days, whatever it might be. And they needed it in 10. They needed all of these parts in 10 days. And I said, look, here's the deal. I can't help you. Not because I can't, but because I don't want to. And the guy's like, why don't you want to help me? I said, because I don't want to work my ass off for a few weeks and charge you the amount of money I'm going to need to charge you. I highly recommend that you reach out to this person. They are considerably more affordable than me, and they'll be better able to help you out. They might be willing to work those hours. I'm just not. And for the price that I would need to charge you, you could go have a professional make you something, and it would be way nicer than 3D printed, right? Especially in 10 days. Duff says, did he miss the part about busting kneecaps? No, that comes later. Yeah, it's nice because ultimately I can just call up a competitor and say, hey, this is what I need. When my laser was down, I know there are 2 other kind of major laser companies in the area. One of them, we're friends on Facebook. Like the owner and I are friends on Facebook. We talk a lot. He's got a fiber laser, so I like to go play with that. But when my CO2 laser was down and we got a CO2 job, I called him up and said, hey, my laser's down. I've got this job. Do you want it? He said, yeah, what do I owe you for it? I said, nothing. Just, take care of the guy. That's really all that I care about. And he did. And the guy was happy. The guy ended up calling me and thanking me and saying, hey, thanks for, getting me helped out. Because ultimately, that's our job as business owners, right? If we can't help someone, we got to help the person kick the can down the road. Don't just say, I can't help you, goodbye, because that's not an answer. The answer is, I can't help you, but here's somebody that can, or here's someone that can at least help you get closer to what you're trying to do. Telling someone you can't help them and wishing them the best, not a great move, because they're not going to remember you. And if they do, they're going to remember you as the company that can't help. If you are unable to service someone and you don't know competitors that can, say, I'm sorry, I don't really know how to help you out here. However, let me reach out to my social media people and see if someone might know somebody, whether locally or otherwise, that could be able to help you get to where you need to be. People remember those things. People remember when you go out of your way to help them when they are not going out of their way to pay you. And I understand that that's extra time from you that you're not being paid for. But if your competition doesn't do that, look how you just set yourself apart. You set yourself apart by being the person that was courteous, that made the right decision for the customer, and not just the right decision for you. Zombie Hedgehog says, how do you enter a market with no competition? Start prices low to gain business and increase, or start high then lower prices with more volume? First off, what you're talking about is what's called the blue ocean strategy. It's an ocean with nothing in it. That is where a lot of people want to be as a business. First movers take a lot of risk, but in the event they do really well, they see their businesses skyrocket very quickly. 3D Musketeers was the third company in a 50-mile radius of Tampa Bay to do 3D printing. Well, I can't say that. The companies that I have started, actually, no. Because my first 3D printing company was the Object Shop. We opened that in 2013, I think. And we were the second 3D printing company. When 3D Musketeers opened, another company had opened. So 3DM was the third because I had shut down the Object Shop. And then a few months later opened up 3D Musketeers, where I was the owner rather than a minority. But dealing with a market with no competition can be tough. As Uncle Jesse has shown, and I really like the videos that he's been doing where he's been talking about the ghost projects and making money on Etsy. He's been showing people that, yeah, you can make a bunch of money. And then he even made a video calling out people saying, oh, you're stealing from the designers. He's not. He got permission to do it, and the designer has put a dollar value on those models. So if you don't like it, go somewhere else. But what he's now found is since that video, there's over a dozen listings on Etsy that are just stealing everything from him. His copywriting, his photos, everything. And those are the people that are just out to make a quick buck. And what you'll find is that a lot of those people will be deliberately 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents cheaper than everybody else because they don't value their time. What they want is the business. They want the business because they believe that they're able to grow even if they have to work really, really, really hard for no money at all. Going into a market with no people is tough because you first have to identify it. You have to do your market research. The benefit of going into a market where existing companies already are is that there's clearly a market for it. Someone has already done the market research. If you're lucky, it's a publicly traded company and you can pull that market research data from one of their shareholder meetings, of which it's very easy to do that. Just become a shareholder. And you're able to figure all that stuff out. Otherwise, you have to do all this work yourself. And let me tell you, it sucks. It rightfully sucks to do all of that work yourself. And there is no easy way to get around this. You must do all the work the hard way if it's a new area. Or you must be willing to lose money for a long time till you can find your market. One of the problems of the maker industry, the 3D printing industry, is that we can literally fit into millions of target markets, and that ultimately makes it complicated for maker businesses to succeed because they don't end up with a refined target market. And when they do, and for some reason that target market dries up or becomes slightly more complicated, we will instantly just shift into a different market. It's bad. Don't do that. As someone that has done this before, don't do that. Right? When the human malware hit, we were forced to switch markets. We were heavy into aerospace. We had a very big contract with one of the largest defense contractors in the world to take over all of their 3D printing. It was a take-or-pay contract. I'd signed it in February. Well, by March, it was null and void. In April, I hurt my back. So things just weren't going great for us. We were working heavy in the food packaging industry where we were making prototypes for food packaging companies. Well, when everything shuts down and they do all of their work overseas, that's a problem. You can't get stuff into port, which means they can't fulfill their customers' orders, which means the work that I was doing for them instantly dried up. They went underground. Now, what I did instead is I continued to build that client relationship. I still hung out with their salespeople. I still went over there and said hi when I was in town. I still kept up with them. Because ultimately, when the world does figure itself out, whatever the new normal will be, and they pop their heads back up and they're ready to do this prototyping again, they'll know who to call. They're not going to look for other people. They don't care. They know that I've solved their problems, and that's the goal. The goal is that you are a problem solver. If you're just the cheap person, you find people and companies that only care about price. And those that only care about price are the ones that have multi-million-dollar businesses, but still rag you to get a discount. And if there's a multi-million-dollar business that is trying to get a discount out of you, they clearly do not, under any circumstances, value your time, and it is time to find somebody else. And that might mean walking away from a multi-thousand-dollar job because someone is trying to haggle with you over 10 or 20%. Now, you might choose to take that hit, take the 10 to 20% hit, give it to them, and then slowly raise your prices to where you're back up to normal. We've done that before. But understand that client will likely still be a pain in your ass no matter what. And a lot of times it's not their fault. They might be a salesperson and it's their job to get a better price. But you do need to verify all of that before you get too deep into all of this. When dealing with good competition, people that will work together, people that will understand that, hey, we're competitors, but we can be cool. That is such a wonderful experience because you're not going to run ads against each other. You're not going to be jerks about each other. You all have your own target markets and you leave each other alone. If you all are competing over the same markets, and let's say you're going to a maker market or a farmer's market where you're selling your wares, you say, hey, you going to the farmer's market? Oh yeah, I'm going to the farmer's market. Oh yeah, I was thinking about going too. Where's your booth so that I can be far away from you so we're not stealing business from each other, right? Don't be right next to the person. That's a dick move. Right? Don't be that person. Make it so that clearly you're not trying to hurt them. And when you call and you ask for help, they'll actually be willing to help you. If you have a business in this industry and you need to outsource work to us, I give you a better price than retail because I know you need to have meat on the bone. But I do require a minimum level commitment for us to hit that price for you. Because otherwise, you're just taking advantage of the fact that I'm giving you meat on the bone so that you can make a little bit of money. I don't want people to work for free, but I also don't want to work for less money if I don't have to. Build on Sound says, there is a thing as competition, pushing each other to bring a better product. But the way some companies work, it's not competition, it's an invasion. It's true. If you are coming up as a 3D printer and there are some, let's say you're local to Tampa and you're trying to compete with 3D Musketeers, you have a few different ways that you can compete. You can compete on price, you can compete on quality, you can compete on speed, you can compete on customer service, and you can compete on knowledge. Now, generally speaking, if you're new to this industry, you're not going to beat me on knowledge, so don't try. I've been doing this for 14 years. I know a thing or two about stuff and things. And while I don't go as hardcore as I could on YouTube, I also can see that when I start getting hardcore into some of the technologies and stuff, the view times just start tanking. So, we keep it a little more simple here. But if you really want to talk about layer powder bed fusion, I am more than happy to talk with you all about the nuances of thermal conductivity of TI-64 titanium. We can absolutely get, or granular size, or how your recoder touches or doesn't touch your parts. Like, we can get into that. It's just not something that generally fits for YouTube at this current time. But if you're out there just trying to shotgun approach it, which is, fire a shot into the dark that just tries to hit anything, versus the sniper one shot, one kill, you're gonna end up shooting a lot more shots as a shotgunner because you are going to end up really missing your target, or you might hit him a little bit, but it's not going to be a wound that you're looking for. It makes more sense to be friends, right? There's 3D Printing Florida. Mike, great friend of mine. He is down in Naples. I reached out to him right before the hurricane, and I reached out a couple of days afterwards. He never answered me, so I am a little worried about him since he hasn't surfaced yet. But it is one of those cases of, hey, he's a competitor, but he's a great guy. We share work back and forth. If I get work down in Naples, I'm going to send it to Mike because I don't want it. It makes more sense for him. And when he gets work up here in Tampa, he sends it to me because it doesn't make sense for him to drive up to Tampa. It makes more sense for me to go into Tampa, right? I'm much closer than him. That's an understanding. We will send 3D scanning work to each other. When he's too busy, he sends scanning work to me. When I'm too busy, I send it to him. That's a good relationship. A bad relationship is like an unnamed local company that put out a hit piece against myself and a couple of the other companies that went out to all the 3D printing vendors that they worked with. In fact, one of them was at the East Coast Rep Festival and asked me about this incident that occurred in 2016. They still remember that hit letter that went out. And I did record it, but we will not include it in any videos. We were just rolling cameras the entire time that I was talking with people. But I said, look, here's the deal. I still don't know why that piece ever went out. I don't even know why that piece existed in the first place. If they had a problem with me, they could have came and talked to me like, you know, humans, rather than putting out a hit piece for reasons that I still... Look, if I wronged somebody, by all means, let's talk about it. And let me see how I can right the wrong. But don't put out a hit piece without talking to me first, right? If I tell you to go F yourself, yeah, put out the hit piece. I don't care. I've clearly made that decision that I don't care what you have to say. But this person went right to violence rather than trying to talk out whatever the problem was. Considering I was running their entire technical support division and they terminated the contract and sent out the hit piece. Actually, sent out the hit piece first. Then they terminated the contract for... I forget the reasoning. I forget what the reasoning was, but it was like, you know, undisclosed reasoning. Like, go to hell. You've clearly chosen violence over trying to work out whatever it was. Right? I was running their entire more resource power. Give me just a second. We should be streaming. Oh, what is going on? This is really weird. Okay, 1 or 2 destinations is presenting stream errors. I think we're okay. Are we okay? Can someone let me know in the comments if we are okay? I would love to know if we are okay. Oh, man. I'm sorry, guys. I hate when this stuff happens. This is not my intention. So I apologize for any issues that this may cause you. I did not realize that we were dropping frames. Sorry about that. Are we back? I think we're back. All right. Okay, we're good. Sorry. It's a lot easier when I have other people because I can just go verify that my battery backup hasn't randomly died. Sorry about that. Thank you, Tarsman, for alerting me to the fact that I was down and now that I'm back. I apparently have to keep OBS open so I can verify when the stream goes down. Sorry about that, guys. Appreciate y'all kind of sticking with it and I guess leave a like. I don't know, man. Everything's been a little bit crazy here since the hurricane. I've been losing power more often and internet more often. So I apologize. Like the stream, I guess. I don't know. It's call to action, all the things. Okay, what was the last thing you all heard? That way I kind of... Because I'm sure I was talking when you all couldn't hear me. So let me know what was the last thing you all heard, and we will get right back to where we were. But I think we were talking about kind of dealing with... I love how everybody thinks it's them. Like, when something goes, like, oh, crap, it must be me. No, it's me. It was me. Sorry. Hit piece. Okay, we were talking about hit pieces. If you do have a competitor that puts out a hit piece, like this individual did, your best course of action is to get in front of it fast. You will likely start getting pieces. You'll likely start getting people reaching out to you. We did. I actually found out about the hit piece from a customer that called me and said, Grant, what the hell is this? I said, what do you mean? He's like, you're listed in this email. What's going on? Why are things... You know, what's going on with you and this person? I said, I have no clue. I have no clue what you're even talking about. And I basically said I have no clue what's going on. They have never reached out to me about a problem. And I'm sorry, but I don't know what's going on. And they said, well, what do you mean? They didn't contact you first? I said, no, nobody contacted me about this. We never got a notification. They said, oh, well, I guess that says a lot more about them than you. I said, well, I guess that's up to you, not up to me. And that's how a lot of those conversations went. Hilariously, one of those companies was at ERRF. They never called me. And they asked about it. They said, how's your relationship with unnamed company? As they said, I remember an email that came out that said you all weren't friends anymore and that we all shouldn't do business with you. I said, yeah, that happened. That was like 6 years ago. But, yep, we are not friends. That company and I are not friends. We do not talk to each other. I reached out one time after that hit piece and said, you clearly don't like me, and that's fine. I will make you one deal and one deal only. I stay out of printer sales, you stay out of printer service, and we leave each other alone. If you come into service, I'm going for your throat. If I go into sales, I expect you to come after mine. Deal? He never responded. Now, they don't do services, so I assume he kind of took that as an understanding. But, yeah, it was one of those cases of we had a really toxic competitor. Now we just kind of agree to disagree, where we just don't talk to each other. I don't go to events that he's at. He doesn't come to ones that I'm at. And maybe that's just because we don't want to see each other. I don't know. We've seen each other a few times. Prior to that, he outright ignores me. I've tried to bury the hatchet because there is no hatchet on my end. I didn't do anything wrong. Like, don't get me wrong. Plenty of people have called me an asshole. In fact, I got called an asshole like half a dozen times over the time that I was at ERRF because I went into Philadelphia and decided to drive on the city streets. What a poor decision that was. Who knew stop signs don't actually mean to stop? It actually means to slightly roll through, verify there's nobody coming and gun it. At least that's what I figured out because that's when people stopped yelling at me. So, Also, Philadelphia, y'all with the cheesesteaks. Can you please season your meat? Because unseasoned cheesesteak beef is terrible. It honestly tastes like a slightly wet, damp, hot sponge. And it was not great. So please add some salt, damn it. And yes, any of you that, live in Philly, you can roast me in the comments. CRS1 is asking, have you read the book Co-opetition? I have not. So I haven't. I wish I have, but I assume that's where you can compete and cooperate at the same time. Now, you do have to be careful in that so you don't end up getting into an instance where you are, it's like price fixing, I think, where everyone kind of agrees to set prices higher and higher and higher because that is illegal. So don't do that. And yes, the California roll. That's right. When you don't stop. Dude, everybody was yelling at me. Like, I'm over here like, I'm following the damn instructions. It says stop. I'm going to stop. Also, it is not required in Florida to know how to parallel park to get your driver's license. And you must parallel park when you're in downtown Philly. And that was just disastrous for me. I am so bad at parallel parking. So I ended up driving around to try to find a place where I could pull in. And it took like 45 minutes to find parking and get cheesesteaks. Anyways. Wait, is it the Chicago roll or the California roll? California roll is food. I always thought it was the California roll. And I know that it is food as well. Whatever. I don't care. It is irrelevant. Anyways. Your competitors aren't always going to be toxic like that individual. And that company still exists today. They're actually a pretty large company at this point. They've grown in sales. But I find often that their customers end up coming to me because these guys can't help them. They're unwilling to service printers, whatever it might be. In fact, I'm about to inherit an Ultimaker S2, S3. It's an Ultimaker. It's one of the newer Ultimakers that a client cannot get running. They bought it from this company, this competitor, and the competitor has outright refused to service it. They said, we've tried, we are losing money on it, we are no longer willing to help you. This is Ultimaker. This is an Ultimaker printer. These are multi-$1,000 3D printers that a company that sold it is now outright refusing to service it. Now, don't get me wrong. It does suck when you have to service printers, and that's deliberately why I don't sell printers, because I don't want to deal with people that break them. Now, I will happily help people fix their printers, but I charge a pretty penny to do it. We have a $65 bench fee. Dollar amount subject to change. CRS1 says, it's a good book. Major takeaways working towards expansion of the pie rather than competing for pieces of a smaller pie. We did talk about that a little bit earlier. I said it a little bit of a different way. Rather than fighting over the same slice, we can all choose our own slices in the pie. It doesn't make sense, right? If we're all fighting over a 16th of the pie, but the other 15 of the 16 slices are totally left untouched, why are we fighting again? Let me go find a different slice of pie. Pie, yeah. Pie is good for analogies. I like pie as analogies. So, okay. And let me make sure, because I need to make sure that I hit everything, because otherwise I will totally forget all the topics I needed to cover. It's tough as a single, as a one-person streamer, because I forget the things I'm supposed to talk about. Okay. So let's talk about how good competition can be hurtful. If you get into a, let's say, situation where you and a competitor are fighting over the same business and you both want it, you must somehow convince the person that is writing the check that you are the better company. So how do you do it? There are a couple of different ways. You can choose to sling mud, or you can choose to be the biggest person, or the bigger person. I'm not a mudslinger. I did have to sling some mud at ERRF about that company that sent out the hit piece on us, because there's really no way to talk about that nicely. You have to be very upfront and forward about it. So that's what I did. But otherwise, I choose not to really sling mud. You'll see I don't reference problem customer or problem competitors. I will absolutely reference all of my very friendly competitors. I love them. They're great. And we send work back and forth to each other all the time. And then when we don't hear from people, we wonder what happened. We try to reach out to them, and we're friends. It's weird. Anyways. Excuse me. I choose to be the bigger person because I believe that there is more value in coming out of a situation looking more professional than it does coming out looking like someone who's fast on the trigger. Again, I don't want to be the one that's just popping off shotgun rounds into the dark. I want to put on the night vision scope. I want to, put get a big bore rifle and go for it. I don't want to shoot blindly. And if that means I have to sit back and see what my competitor does first, so I can get an idea of what's going on, then I do. When companies call us and they say, we're looking for quotes and we're going around to get competitive pricing, I tell them, here's the deal. You're probably going to hear this from a lot of people that you reach out to. We don't compete on price. It's not our job. If you want to try to cut us down on price, by all means, you're welcome to, but very few of us are going to accept it. What we do instead is we have a way, right? If it hasn't been obvious to you all, I have a bit of an odd personality. I am polarizing. People either really like me and appreciate the fact that I'm very blunt, I'm very honest, and at some point, your feelings don't matter to me because we're here to do business. We're not here to feel good about ourselves. We're here to get shit done. And if you don't come into the business relationship with that, thing, and I say something that upsets you, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. People come to me because they know I'm real. They know I'm not going to beat around the bush. They know if 3D printing or what I can do are not the right options, I'm going to send them to somebody who is. And because we've worked with companies ranging from the Smithsonian to Snoop Dogg, my black book is pretty thick. And we're able to make phone calls to people very quickly. Like, great example. Last night on Twitter, Zach Friedman was talking about wanting to print titanium filament. Tungsten filament. And he said, well, what nozzles can do that? And I said, diamond. It's like, diamond nozzles? I said, yeah, diamond nozzles. He's like, oh, that's really cool. So I sent him a DM and said, hey, I'm good friends with those guys. You want me to make an intro? He's like, yeah. 5 minutes later, I had the intro done. The diamond guys called me because they have my cell phone number. They said, all right, how legit's this guy? I said, his channel's only a little bit bigger than mine. About 51 times bigger. And I said, just watch his videos and you'll see why. You guys will love him. And they started watching the video when I was on the phone. And he's like, oh yeah, we love this guy. Okay, we're going to send him some nozzles. I'm like, great, cool. Just save Zach a couple $100. And he's going to get to make a really, really cool video. In fact, I have a care package coming from Diamondback, so maybe we'll do a video on it. They're sending me some stuff to R&D, which I can't obviously show on video, but they're sending me their, finally they're sending me their creator kit, which includes discs of materials. Like they have a disc of ruby. There's I think it's a 5-carat disc of diamond that they provide, and some granite. So you can look at scratching different materials with the diamond. It's just it's an influencer thing. But they were at ERRF, and they were at the Maker That Money Live. I was there too. And right at the end of it, they're like, Grant. I'm like, what? Who the hell's calling me? And it's freaking Harris and Mark. And it was really cool to finally meet them because they're really good guys, and we talk a lot offline. So I took some photos with them, and I introduced them to some people they want to get introduced to. That's what business is about, right? I've built a relationship because they like me. I build relationships like some of my best friends started as customers. My freaking doctor, my former doctor, I can't go see him anymore because my insurance doesn't cover it. That is a whole nother rant about the American healthcare system. Anyways. My former doctor was a client. He started as a client. The dude's into metal casting, and we would make form boxes for him. And eventually I said, hey, his name is Scott. I said, hey, Scott, it makes more sense for you to buy your own printer at this point. You're paying me like $500 or $600 every single time to make one of these pieces for you, when you could go buy a Prusa Mark III's for $1,000. And I said, and I know you, go buy the kit. You're going to enjoy it. And you're going to get a more affordable experience where you get to make whatever you want. And he did. And he was never my customer again. And yet, when I hurt my back, I called him. And I don't have to, go through I called his personal cell phone number. And he answered. He said, hey, I just stepped out. I'm with a patient. Is everything okay? I said, no, I can't move my legs. And he said, okay, give me 5 minutes and I'll call you back. 5 minutes later, I get a phone call from him. He's like, all right, I'm in my office. Talk to me. I told him what happened, and he helped me. That relationship is so valuable because of that. Now, I don't abuse that. That's not something that I do. But that is something that my relationship building is something that other competitors in the area don't do, right? An individual who I made his wedding cake topper 6 years ago. I would go over to his house often. I've made like one part for this guy, and we've been friends for years. Like, he used to live over on the Space Coast. He just moved out to Alabama? I don't know. Whatever. Where's Rocket Country? I forget where Rocket City is. It's in the South. Like, damn it. Oh, it's going to bother me. Oh, well. But yeah, it's one of those cases where I like to build those relationships. And I think that is how we set ourselves apart from others. And if you are charismatic and you can get past the introversion that you might have and be able to still talk with people, Huntsville, Arkansas, Huntsville, Alabama. No, it's Huntsville, Arkansas. Shit, I gotta look this up. It's gonna bother the hell out of me. It's Huntsville, Alabama. Okay. All right. It's Alabama. Okay. All right. Sorry. It's going to bother the hell out of me if I don't know what it is when I've been talking about it. I have to make sure it's right. Anyway, so he moved out there, and once he gets settled in, I will probably go out there to see. Now, all the new stuff he's doing, I can't see anything because it's all protected. But it is just one of those cases of, yeah, it's a cool place to go. I believe that if you are not friends with your customers, you're doing it wrong. Unless, of course, your customers have no desire to be friends with you. Then maybe you're wrong, right? That's how I set myself apart. We are not the cheapest. I'm not even close to being the cheapest in the area. I don't want to be. We are up at the top end. We're middle of the road for 3D design. We are on the low end for scanning, and I'm on the upper end for printing. Because I still believe that printing is still the most affordable thing, and I can be higher priced than others, and it's not a big deal. See ya, Zombie. Thanks for coming around, man. He says, happy granting. Thank you, sir. OnlyGrantRants.com. That site should work now. Yes, I now own OnlyGrantRants.com. Oh, I hate myself for it. When you deal with problem competitors, how do you differentiate yourselves from them? I can choose to say, well, we just don't like them. They're not good people, this, that, or the other. Nah. Hey, I'm going to go over to these guys and see what their prices are. Oh, well, actually, they don't do services. How do you know they don't do services? Because we're competitors and we know each other. Oh, okay. Well, who else does services in your area? I said, if you're looking for someone that's cheaper than me, these are who you'll need to go to. If you're looking for someone who does better quality than me, this is who you need to go to. But they're triple my price. So you have to make the decision for yourself of, what are you looking for? Are you looking for, good, fast, or cheap? You can pick two, and that's it. That is the problem that we deal with, in that consumers, hi, I'm sorry, I'm about to shit on you as consumers. We suck. We really suck. And it's Jeff Bezos' fault, ultimately. Amazon and Jeff Bezos have effectively made it so we as humans want instant delivery, right? That's what we want. We're not willing to wait 2 weeks anymore. We're not willing to wait 3 weeks anymore. We want stuff now. Unfortunately, though, we're not willing to pay for now. We pay $120 a year for Amazon Prime, and we get free, most of the time, next day shipping. And if you're not in an area with an Amazon warehouse close, 2, maybe 3 day at best. And if we as makers can't hit that same mark, it becomes a real pain in the ass. Because ultimately, people don't want that. They want right here and now. And nothing else. That's all they want, is the here and now and nothing else. So what do we do? How do we deal with that? Well, I start by setting expectations. I say, how fast do you need this done? The individual, hey, I need it done in 10 days, the guy with the shredder costume. I said, well, is it properly sized for you? No, it's not. Okay, where are you located? I'm about 2 hours away from you. Okay. I'm going to need you to get scanned, because that's the only way that I can guarantee that I can get, your part to work. It's the only way that I can guarantee it. And he said, well, I can come down in 2 days. I said, but if you come down in 2 days, that only gives me now 8 days to 3D print everything. And oh yeah, now I have to process a 3D scan. And I said, I don't mean to be this guy, but do you see the problem I'm up against? He said, I do. I said, so how can we solve this? He said, I don't know. I said, okay. As long as we both don't know the answer to this, then I can say that we can't help you, and I feel okay with it. If I say we can't help you and you don't know why I'm saying that, then I'm upset because I have not properly conveyed the reason that I am no bidding this job. It's just unrealistic. The big thing is scaling it. We could actually 3D print the parts for him in time, but I don't know how to scale it, and the model that he bought does not include scaling. And if it doesn't include how tall it's for, then we've got a problem. And then I have to assume that he's built like a regular individual, and he's not, maybe he's a little more portly, or maybe he's, jacked, and I have to make some other adjustments. That's why 3D scanning people for cosplay makes the most sense. Anyways, and smoke 'em if you got him. I've got a bunch of scanners now, so smoke 'em if you got him. We got some water here. I don't breathe enough when I talk, so it means that I yawn a lot. Sorry. All right. Let's take a look at how to get information. So if you're coming into a market that has competition, you're going to want to know what people charge and how they charge. It might not, it might not work, but you can just call people up and ask, hey, I'm coming into the market. I don't want to set my prices too low, and I'm trying not to undercut people, but I also don't want to be too expensive. Can you clue me in a little bit as to how you do your pricing so that I'm not the cheap guy on the block, because that's not what I'm trying to do. And we've had people call us and ask essentially that. And I say, all right, here's how we do it. I charge, at the time I was charging about $4 an hour for printing, plus a percentage on top of materials costs. I said, I'm not going to tell you that percentage, but if you'd like to submit some parts for quoting, I'm more than happy to get you a quote. Now, our quoting system that we use is complicated. It has about 6 or 7 different variables in it. And so it's very difficult for someone to understand what my pricing is. That's the goal. And outside of things like we advertise that our CAD price is $150 an hour. I advertise that 3D scanning with the EVA, with the nice Artec EVA, is $250 an hour or $1,500 a day, should you want to do the day rate. And then, I'll work up to 12 hours for that rate. I will not work more than 12 hours for that rate. But, when it comes to printing, I tell people it's not about the cost of printing. It's about the amount of time that you're going to spend cleaning the model. And if a model has supports, there's a multiplier that is applied, because supports mean I have to do something, right? If all I have to do is take a part off a build plate and hand it to somebody, they're going to get a much better price than someone that needs supports. They needs to be glued. It needs to be this, that, or the other, because there is a value to my time. But we're open about the things we don't care about. Like, if you want to come and undercut me on scanning, by all means do it. You're going to have to spend $20,000 on the scanner, $1,200 a year on the software, about $1,000 on a laptop, and you're going to try to undercut me at $250 an hour. By all means, go ahead. I don't care. By the way, reviews coming out on, I have a Shining 3D Einstar that I just got in. I did purchase that. And I have the Revo Point Mini that we got in, and I also did purchase that. So neither of those were sent by the companies, but those are videos coming out soon, TM. Energy Seeker is asking, what is the best cheap scanner? That is not a good question to ask. What you should be asking is, what are my uses for said scanner? And then say, well, what is the best scanner for rooms? What is the best scanner for buildings? What is the best scanner for people? And there is no such thing as a good cheap scanner, in my opinion. If you want something that is good, you pay money for it. If you want something that is cheap, you get something that is cheap. Now, I believe the Einstar from Shining 3D punches way above its weight class, and this will be in the video. However, it's a $1,000 scanner. Reasonably affordable in terms of 3D scanners. But its current minimum requirements are a computer that costs no less than $2,000. It is an 1100H Intel CPU and a 3070 graphics card with a minimum of 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, and they prefer a minimum of 32 gigs of DDR5. Now, I'm sorry, there is no valid reason that the $1,000 scanner cannot run on this laptop, which is the laptop that I use to run my $20,000 scanner. There is no damn reason. Scanner for faces, it's an Artec EVA, period. You will not get a better scan quality than an EVA unless you go with the Spider. You can get Artec EVAs online for relatively affordable. I've seen them go for as low as 7, but they normally hang out somewhere in the 8 to 10 grand range. So that is something that you need to be aware of. I do believe that Shining 3D has a good scanner with the Einstar, but I think that their software is really problematic. Like, they send you software that is in debug mode. Why? Send me an official release of the software. It'll perform better. Like, come on. Anyways, yeah. The Einstar is on my list of scanners that could disrupt the industry, but I can't get good scans out of it right now because it crashes on my computer, so there's that problem. Honestly, Polycam does a pretty good job with a phone. Zach Friedman actually had Polycam sponsor his latest video, and his scan is okay. It's nowhere near as good as a scan that I can get with the EVA. When you consider it's really a very small additional cost, like 20 or 30 bucks a year for Polycam, over the cost of your phone, well, that's pretty good. And if you have an iPhone, one of the newer ones with LiDAR built into it, you can get better quality scans with Polycam or some of the other ones out there. I wish Polycam sponsored me. They don't. They just have a good system. But I have nicer scanners than that, so smoke them if you got them. Worst Peter says, you can't take good software for granted, Grant. I can, because I also pay $1,200 a year for that good software. And if you're going to release a $1,000 scanner but make me spend $2,000 on a computer, that's insane. When my $700 computer from 4 years ago works perfectly fine with my $20,000 scanner and $1,200 a year software. I'm sorry, period. Energy Seeker's asking, do I think Prusa is better than Ender 3? If yes, in what ways? Yes, absolutely. Do you ever see me talk about Enders in a positive way on this channel, other than the one time that I looked at an Ender 3 and said it punches above its price class? Enders are a great printer if you want to waste your time. They absolutely are not designed for doing proper printing. They're not good. They're great if you want to screw around and don't value your time. They're terrible if you want to run a business. So, there's that. Pascal Godin says Creaform was at our local industrial trade show and they didn't have any Peel scanners, not even some documentation. Yeah, for those that don't know, there's Peel 3D and Creaform. It's the same company, they're Creaform. The new Peel 3 is supposed to be a great scanner, but it's like 10 grand, 15 grand, somewhere in that range. And that's too much. It does fill a gap because there's not really a gap of those, 10-ish grand level scanners. I believe getting a used Artec EVA would net you better quality than a Peel. But Peel 3D and Creaform refuse to send me a scanner to play with. So I don't even want to keep it. I'd like to, but I don't need to. They won't even send me one to review. Because they know what I'm going to do with it. And they're afraid. So. Hey, Fotis. It was great meeting you at the East Coast Rep Festival, buddy. It was really cool to meet you and Charo and so many other people. And then to see all those models. And I have a few signed dragons now, which is pretty cool. There are only 2 people that I got signatures from at the East Coast Rep Festival. It was Fotis Mint and Joseph Prusa. So. It's pretty cool. Give Fotis some love if you don't know who he is. He's an amazing 3D modeler. Patreon.com/FotisMint. Go join over there. Kick him some bucks because he really knows what the hell he's doing. Like, dude, things like this. Absolutely beautiful Rancor bust. Come on. Like, this is worth the cost of admission to his Patreon, I promise. Anyways, go give Fotis some love. FJ Prince says, but if you spend about $150 on an Ender 3, you can get it pretty reliable. You're ignoring your time. You're ignoring the amount of time that it's going to take you to add all the upgrades in, potentially screw them up, have to redo things, have to deal with all the new things that you're adding to an Ender 3. Yes, you can do all of that. But if you are a newbie and you haven't really gotten into this industry, then you're not ready for an Ender. If you've had a couple of months or even a couple of years of experience in this industry, by all means, get an Ender and have fun with it, right? If you got the time, go have fun. If you're trying to run a business, do not buy an Ender. Just don't. If you want your first printer as a business, buy a Prusa. Or, and I very, very maybe a Bamboo. I want to like Bamboo, but I really need them to prove that the printers will last. Whereas Peter says an Ender 3 is like a 25-year-old Mercedes. You have to put a lot of work and time and money into it, and after that, it's fun. Yep, that's true. Absolutely true. Don't get me wrong, I love my 20-year-old Honda, but it needs a little bit of work, and I'm willing to put in the work because I can't afford a new car. But it's fun for me. I enjoy that. Changing oil and spark plugs and, EGR valves and that kind of stuff. I enjoy that kind of thing. That's, like therapy for me. So I'm okay with that. That's a thing that I've, said, okay, I'm good with that. Otherwise, I'd bring it to a mechanic. Photospin says, Bamboo for business? Hell no. I think that their machines are pretty damn good. But I need the company to prove that they're going to continue to support it. I need the company to prove that the machines will last. And I need users to abuse the hell out of them and see where they fail. They're pretty, don't get me wrong. I think they make great prints. But I don't know from a abuse standpoint, can they go through what I put my Prusas through? Can they go through what I put my other machines through? I don't know that answer, and I'm not willing to spend $1,800 to find it out. I will wait. Here's the thing about me. I'm actually risk averse. As a business owner, I'm risk averse. I am not a first mover. I don't want to be a first mover. If I was a first mover, I would have bought a Bamboo. I don't want to. I want others to find the faults and failures inside of that printer. I want to see if Bamboo Lab actually addresses them. And then if they address them, if these machines continue to be good, if people don't have major problems with them, then and only then will I choose to purchase one for my company. What about Vorons for business? Worse, Peter says the same thing I would say. Voron is too expensive in build time. Yes, a Voron is about $2,500 as a kit. Then you must assemble it. I am going to try to work with LDO Jason to get a 2.4 kit and build it. And you're going to see it's going to take like a week. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of resources. It's not worth it. If you buy a pre-built Voron, maybe. But I still believe that the best bang for the buck for a business right now is a Prusa. It's just the way I feel. Pascal says, I've added a 350 V2.4 to my fleet because I've been waiting for my Prusa XL. Totally get that. Totally understand that. And I guess you can get a Voron for like $1,300. I don't know. If you can find them used and you can actually verify they work and they work well, that might be a good move, but yeah. Anyways, there isn't any support for Voron, and that is something to point out as well. They have a Discord server, but that's really it. They're not an official company. They're volunteers. So there's no like official support channel. If I have a problem with my Prusa, I go to prusa3d.com, I click live chat, and I chat with someone in 10 to 15 minutes. And I get assistance, I get help. They've got all the documentation on how to fix the machine, how to work on it, how to maintain it. And if you are like Miss Pez Liz over here who jams and breaks her Prusas, you can actually service them pretty easily. Hi, Liz. Yes, I'm calling you out. Duff says, Voron for business is like trying to DIY PCs for a 100-plus user organization. It's totally true. Can you do it? Hell yeah, you can do it. It might be fun, but you're going to kill yourself in the process. When you think from a business perspective, it makes sense to have a faster machine to crunch prints if needed, but I agree, we need to know the reliability. Yeah, and that's I'm assuming that's talking about Bamboo. Building a printer for 10,000 hours doesn't sound like time well spent for a business. It is not. It is not. Pascal Godin is saying 2,400 Canadian, 200 hours for printing the parts, 30 hours to assemble. Yeah, not great for a business. Yep, I agree. I totally freaking agree. It's why I buy Prusas. And mind you, I buy the Prusa kits because I really do enjoy putting them together, and I can do it in about 6 hours. Yes, that means I am spending more money with my time to assemble a Prusa kit. But I absolutely enjoy the experience, and that's why I do it. I do it because I enjoy it. Because this is still a hobby for me as well as a business. I still enjoy doing 3D printing for myself. I believe, though, that a Prusa Mini, if you're not doing big parts, is a great bang for the buck printer. I do believe the Mark III's is getting a little tired, if that makes sense. Its 8-bit board is getting a little tired comparatively out there. Mind you, there are some printers coming on the market right now that are looking kind of good. This Soval SV06 looks like a Prusa and an Ender had a baby. Now, I don't know, who really takes more after what, but, the Elegoo Neptune 3, it's basically a Prusa, but it's Bowden and it has a non-all-metal hot end. Those are two relatively easy to make upgrades, and that's a $200 printer. I want to do comparison videos where we legitimately look at them and decide. Yeah, Foda says he got an assembled Mark 3S Plus recently, didn't even calibrate it like ever, it just worked. Yep, it makes sense. Oh, apparently my mom's watching. Hi, Mom. She says, and the gummy bears. She sent me a message. So say hi to my mom. My mom is apparently watching the podcast live. Prusa kit runs about $850 delivered. Yeah. Yeah, it does. So, yeah. Anyways. I don't know if she'll... Foda says, hi, Mom, send money. Fotis, wait till the first of the month. I'll send you money. Every first of the month, you get my money. And Liz says that she did not eat the gummy bears, so she gets credit for that. That's because you're allergic to some of the flavors, Liz. All right, I'm getting off topic. I'm going to get back into it. Say hi to my mom. Mom, when are you going to come on this podcast? When are we going to do a Mother's Day special? Because now I know you're watching. Now I get to call you out in front of everybody. When are we going to do a Mother's Day special? Because that'd be fun. All right. So let's talk about how you fit your pricing in. We talked about it a little bit before, where I don't want you to be the cheapest person out there, right? You're not trying to be the Wish of 3D printing. You want to provide service. You want to provide value. You want to provide usefulness to your machines. My mom is saying that my father will take Liz's gummies. Unfortunately, Liz lives in Canada, and that would be complicated. So we're not going to do that. Fernando says, when you said $4 per hour, do you take the preparation time and post-processing into account and the printing time also or not? So Fernando, when I said all of that earlier, I said that that was my old pricing and I had other things, right? So we had there was literally a modifier for if the customer was a jerk. If you asked for a discount, I actually raised your price because you clearly don't value my time. If your part had a lot of supports, I raised your price because, oh yeah, that's more of my time. It's very difficult to calculate and know the amount of time you're going to have when preparing and working on a file. A lot of that just comes with age, right? It comes with the time of learning it. And FJ Prince is asking, is $4 an hour all include energy? It does. A Prusa runs about 90 watts, 90 to 110 watts when it's running. When they're running hard, they'll draw closer to 250, like when they're heating up and all that. And here in Florida, we pay about 19 cents a kilowatt hour. So that means you can run a Prusa on average for 10 hours for a quarter. The cost of electricity is negligible, and it is not something that I bother putting into my pricing because it's just the cost of doing business. It is way more complicated for me to deal with support removal and any cleanup or anything like that than it is for me to work in the cost of electricity. It is so negligible in terms of the cost of everything. Worst Peter says electricity is free in the state of Florida if you're brave enough. Well, I mean, it's free everywhere if you're brave enough, but, whatever. Energy Seeker says, how do you price your printing? By gram, 25 cents per gram. Nope. I'm not going to tell you. Sorry. We have a per hour rate that we use. We have a modifier that we use on top of the material cost. So we buy mostly from printed solid. So my material is about $20 to $22 a kilogram. Although I have been buying more from Polymaker. In fact, that printer above me right there. Nope. Grant, that one, the Fusion 3 has been running for 5 days nonstop. Every 12 hours, I have to stop it. I have to change the printout and click print again. For the past 5 days straight, has gone through. It is now. This is its last print, and it will go through 5 kilograms of Polymakers Polymax PLA Plus. I don't know Poly. Hold on, it's right back there. I'll just grab it. This is Polylite PLA Pro. That stuff is awesome. It has worked so well. It prints like a dream, so I might be buying more of that. Apparently, local maker Michigan says alligator and hurricane powered. Yeah, that's about right. So what we need is we need more wind power, and we need wheels for the alligators to run on. But yeah, I don't really take into energy costs as a factor. I mean, to give you an idea, with all the machines here, air conditioning and all that, my power bill is normally under $300 a month. So it's not that bad. I pay $80 a month for friggin' internet, okay? I don't factor that into the cost. If we will do free consultations. Not many other companies in the area do free consultations. And if they do free consultations, they require that you give them all this information and all that. There is literally a link on my website where you can book time directly in my calendar. That's it. It's easy. Yeah, they will ask you some questions. That's just so I can get an understanding of where you are, like, mentally with this industry. Like, if you don't know, if I say, how much do you want the edges filleted, and you think I'm talking about a steak, well, we might have a good dinner, but it's wrong. So we, have to look at it from that way as well. Hack Monkey says, I've been trying to standardize on Jesse and Polymaker for base materials, sprinkling in protopasta for the sprinkles. All good filament. Love the cardboard spools. I just got a bunch of protopasta from ERRF, and so I'm looking to hopefully build a relationship with them. Their filament's gorgeous. The problem is, so few of our clients want those weird-ass colors. I just think they're cool. There's really, really pretty nebulas and that kind of thing. So, yes, these are not empty spools. They're almost empty spools. This is 2 prints leave me with this much filament. That's how good I've gotten these prints close to 500 grams. So, not empty spools. Those are almost empty spools that will get used on probably a future client project, just to burn them up, or I'll use them on a time lapse just to burn them up. But yeah, cardboard spools for the win. I do prefer the cardboard spools from Printed Solid. I've talked about this before because you can rotate the sides independently. On something like Polymaker spools, they're glued, so you can't rotate them. And that means if you have, a big piece like this sticking out, that could become a problem. With Jesse spools, I can rotate it so it's just barely sticking out. It allows me to fit more spools on the cart behind me. Anyways, I like to make it easy for people to contact me. That's why we have a phone number. That phone number is a Google Voice number. If you live in the United States and you don't want to give out your personal cell phone number, go get a Google Voice number. Attach it to a Gmail account. Ours is attached to the company Gmail account. We have a company Gmail account. Set yourself apart by not using Gmail for your email. If you do, make sure you also do your domain and all that through Google, so it is at your domain dot whatever it is. Those are ways you can set yourself apart, right? You need to set yourself apart from the hobbyists if you're going to play professional. If you're going to play hobbyist, you need to set yourself apart from the professional somehow. Being accessible is one of the easiest ways to set yourself apart from others, right? I say we're open 24 hours a day. You call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I will answer the phone. But your price just doubled because clearly you need it now. And if you're going to drag my ass out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're obviously willing to pay for it. And I'm more than happy to charge you. The phone rings. I answer it. Why? Because money's on the line. Now, I will say one of the big problems with small business right now are the amount of spam calls that we get. So if you have a way to deal with spam calls, do that. But Google will absolutely dock you if you don't answer the phone. So make sure you answer the phone. Make sure you have an actual address. If you don't want to make the address your house, that's totally fine. Go look at some co-working space where you can get a mailbox, which will let you make that your address, right? If you can find a space with a makerspace, right? Go find a co-working space that also has a makerspace. then you're able to utilize their machinery without a ton of extra BS, right? That's like, if you've got a makerspace with really awesome equipment near you, you can expand your business very easily, right? And that's where your competitors become like friends, or they become, abilities to create businesses. It's not always about being the best. It's about being the best fit for your best client. And if you tell me that your client is everybody, then you don't know your target market. You need to understand who and what you're going after. If you don't know that, it doesn't matter who is competing with you or who you're competing against. You will not succeed. And I hate to say that because it's a jerk thing to say. It is certainly very mean, but it's real. FJ Prince has no makerspaces in the UK, unfortunately. I know there are, so you just got to look a little harder. But if you're in the UK, I know there are makerspaces because I know one of our staff members that lives in the UK that goes to one. So, sorry, I know there are makerspaces in the UK. You're not looking hard enough. You also have to look at what these local competitors are doing. Do they have crappy websites? Do they have crappy SEO? When you go to their website, put yourself in the stance of a user. How easy is it to contact them? When you go to 3dmusketeers.com, the phone number's in the top right corner of the website. It's right there. And you can click it, and it will open up a call window. Or it'll send to your phone. One of the two. You go to the contact page. You can contact us, and you fill out a very short form that has very few ways to do it, or very few, what's the word I'm looking for? Sections, right? There's very few things I'm asking because I want to make it as functionally easy as possible for somebody to reach out to us and bring us business. We show off the work that we can. We don't show off the work we can't. We show off the companies that we've worked with. And in fact, I have to add more companies to that list because I now get to add the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, San Francisco 49ers, and the Philadelphia Flyers onto our client list, which is objectively cool. Very few other 3D printing companies can say that. And you need to look at how people are finding you. Sign up for Google Analytics. Make sure you get Google Analytics. Because if they're finding you by searching for 3D scanning and your website is mostly talking about 3D printing, you have yourself a problem. If you talk about product development and people are looking at you for rapid prototyping and you don't have rapid prototyping on your website, you've got yourself a problem. You need to see how people are finding you and adjust to that, or look at basically forcing people to find you the way that you want to be found. Worst Peter says, I changed the website of my mom's business to basically be a fancy business card, and it works great. Yep. For a lot of us, we don't need those fancy websites. For me, I want one, so I took the time and built it myself. We use Elegant Themes Divi. It's a website builder. It's WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Very easy to build. It's WordPress based. We use Namecheap for our hosting, Namecheap for our emails, and everything's been working out well. I don't have many complaints here, right? But I've also been doing this as 3D Musketeers for almost 7 years now. And it's a little different, right? Recently, we started being content creators, right? Like, I've got, I've got big, stupid content creator camera now. Thanks to one of our Patreon members for sending this over. I greatly appreciate this gift because, our content's going to get a lot cooler. Hilariously, lower resolution, but oh my God, it looks better. If you guys have seen any images from the last 2 Wednesday videos, you've actually seen images from this camera. So it's pretty cool. Worst Peter says, also set a budget for Google Ads in search results and target locally. That is the one thing I have not done a lot with because I don't know enough about it. And I recognize very quickly you can spend a ass load of money on Google Ads and not get anywhere with them. So if you do want to go through Google Ads, make sure to get some training first. Maybe take a Udemy class or whatever. Personally, I have had zero luck hiring marketing companies to work with us because they just don't get it. And it sucks because one of them is owned by a buddy. And I'm like, dude, this is not working. I am not getting the business that I need to get. The ROI is just not here. And he's like, I totally understand, dude. I thought this was going to be a lot easier, and it wasn't. And we parted ways. We're still friends. He still has access to my Google Analytics, so we'll talk every month about what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. But he is not, helping my company anymore. Good guy, by the way. JR from Redwall Marketing. I'll give him a shout out. So it does become the situation of you can play the hard game, which is word of mouth, which, by the way, one of the most valuable assets for advertising is word of mouth. We are setting up a referral program. So when customers refer others, they each get 10% off of their next order, because that's a great way for people to, make things happen. But the person that refers, no one gets the 10% off until the person makes their first order. And then they both get 10% off of their next orders, right? So their first order is always full price. Then they get 10% off of the next order. And that's how we're incentivizing. We're incentivizing it to say, hey, make an order. Even if it's a $10 order, then your next one is 10% off. And if you want to place a $1,000 order, then fine, I'll take $100 off. No big deal. But that is how you get recurring revenue from people, is you build this way where, again, your customers become your friends and they want to talk about you. The reason 3D Musketeers has grown is not because I know what I'm doing for marketing or advertising. Clearly I don't. I started a YouTube channel. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. But it's because we make friends with our clients. They like us. They like me. They appreciate me. They appreciate our staff. And because of that, they say good things about us. They say good things about us to others. And that ends up coming back and helps us out. And when I know, when I hear that it came from someone, I kick up some bucks. Always help those out that help you, because then they're incentivized to do it more and more. Worst Peter says, add sweets when you send out an order. Costs nothing and makes you look forward to receiving your order. If you are doing B2C sales, yes. If you are doing B2B sales, I don't know. I live in Florida, where if a package gets stuck somewhere, anything that I can ship that is sweet ends up melting, so we don't do that. But, you could do a printed solid and throw a mini Airhead. You could do a Prusa and throw a little bag of Haribo gummy bears. Or you could do the objectively better gummy bears. I do love Haribo, but Albanese makes better gummy bears. Fight me in the comments. You do have to stand out somehow. For me, we have cool business cards. So my business cards are made of wood. Of course, I don't see any of the new ones. I've got some of the old ones. These are the old ones that aren't white. The new ones are white on the top, and then it's regular wood. But these are my business cards. And I include one of these in every single order that we send out, so that people have a direct way to reach out to me. They're different because they're made of wood. And I will tell you, even at the East Coast Rep Festival, even at ERRF, I had multiple people saying, wow, these are cool cards. These are nice cards. The only people that criticized them were the Lightburn booth, but I deliberately gave them one and said, all right, how bad's my card? And they're like, is it supposed to be wavy? I said, okay, I'm glad you saw that. That's like the first egregious error that's wrong with the cards. The laser resonates. So we do that because we have a laser. And we can do that. It's a little bit different than our competitors. Our competitors use paper business cards, which, again, nothing wrong with paper business cards. However, if you have a laser, why are you not making your own business cards? Right? Like, why not? Do something that stands out. I say, my cards don't only grow on trees, but they're a pain in your ass. You put them in your back pocket, you're going to feel it, and they literally grow on trees. They're made of compressed eucalyptus. That relationship building is what's important to me, because without relationships, it's boring. Without laughing, without sharing some emotion with your customers, it's not fun anymore. We have an individual that we've been working with, and we're making a custom orthotic, and that's about as much as I can tell you guys about the project currently. Eventually, we're going to have a big video about making these. It's a really, really cool thing. We're helping out an individual who is disabled. We're making custom orthotics. That's what I can say. And I discount their orders heavily. I give them a minimum 15% discount every single time they order parts through us, because they're ordering parts to better the life of somebody in their family. They're not ordering parts, that are pretty or fun. They're ordering parts to make it so an individual in their family can live a more comfortable life. And there are times where I can make money and there are times where I can make profit. And the mom called me. She's like, "Why do you keep discounting our orders?" I said, "Because I know what you're doing with them. Because I get the pieces, I scan them, and then we print them." I said, "Look, there are times where I can make money, and there are times where I can help you out. I know the amount of money that you're spending on this individual. I know how expensive this industry is. So if I can help make it a little bit easier for you, then I've done my job." And the mom started crying. And that's tough because I don't really know how to deal with that. But it's one of those cases of, I know I made the right decision. And yeah, I'm cutting away profit, but I'm also the business owner, so I can do what the hell I want, damn it. But I know that the mom will always remember us. And I didn't do that because I want the mom to tell people about us. I did that because I know they're spending like $5,000 to $7,000 a month on this individual just to keep them comfortable. And if I can alleviate some of those issues for them, then I will. And I know they have the money. It's not about the money. It's about doing what's right. And especially when they got burned by one of my competitors, who is slowly going into my shit list for competitors, I definitely need to make sure that I do it right, and I do it when they need it. I hand-delivered parts to them on 3 days' notice. It's amazing what this industry can do. And I know that she will go out and tell her story when we can. We're under an NDA right now, but when we're totally done with this, she wants to then talk about it. She doesn't want to talk about it when she's not ready. She wants to have this be a successful thing. Because we have a YouTube channel, that sets us apart from our competitors as well. And it's not a small YouTube channel. Right? I'm putting a lot of time, effort, and energy into it, and money. A lot of money. By the way, patreon.com/3D Musketeers. Like the stream while you're at it. Yeah, there's your call to actions again. And subscribe if you're not. We greatly appreciate that kind of support. But because we're able to show off parts for people, and when I can get that editing PC running again, we're going to be streaming on MakerDeck. All of our time-lapse turns will get streamed on MakerDeck again. Shout out to MakerDeck. That means that now we're able to provide extra things that our competitors don't. And that always means that we win. If you can find ways to stand out for something other than price, you will generally be able to beat your competitors. And if you find people that only care about price, they're probably not good customers anyways. Define your target market. Know what your competitors' target markets are. And if they are toxic, ignore them. And if they're being a real problem, snap back a little bit, right? Say, look, I know what you're doing. It is what it is. I can't stop you, but I can do the same thing back to you. We can both spend money frivolously. We can both spend money needlessly, or we can agree that we're just not going to be dicks to each other and move on. I get you don't like me. It's totally fine. I love you like a brother, and it's all good. Kill him with kindness. Take the high road when you can. I believe competition is a good thing. It validates a market. And as Uncle Jesse has shown, one video can build an entire market on Etsy. And a lot of those people are being lazy. They're trying to compete on price. And when you go to Etsy, what do? You look for price. You look for who's cheapest. You pull out a few people who have the prices that you're willing to pay. Then you look at whose pictures are better. Then you look at who ships faster. And then you look at who's got the best reviews. Generally in that order. And if you can fit all those categories, then you win. That's why I believe Etsy's not a great place to do that. I think Etsy's a terrible place for makers, personally, especially the 3D printers, because you are effectively forced to compete with companies and individuals that will print for way less than you will. That's why 3D Musketeers does not have an Etsy page. And we probably won't ever. We will soon have a merch store. We are in the process of getting some polos made up. I'm going to get some t-shirts made up with some Resin is Toxic stuff. If you guys want to collaborate on the merch or you want to help us out, please reach out to me directly, slide into those DMs, or if you have me on Discord, just reach out there. I would love to kind of communicate with people on the merch. It is something that I'd like to do. One, because I want to wear my own damn clothing. And two, if I can make a couple of bucks on it, why the hell not? Anyways, guys, that's all I got. If you got any further questions, let me know. But if not, then I think we're going to call this one a wrap. About an hour and a half, not too bad. Little bit of internet issues there. So hopefully the YouTube stream thing comes out fine. If it doesn't, I always have a backup recording. But yeah, I hope this helps. Just be good humans. If you got people that aren't being good humans, kill them with kindness. And if you need to go into rule number 2, go into rule number 2. But no, when you go that route of fighting back, you can't ever come back from that. As soon as you be mean to somebody else, you cannot come back from that. There is no amount of apologies that will fix you doing something like that. Be good people. Leave reviews on small businesses. Please, dear God. In the past 2 weeks, I've had half a dozen people say, oh yeah, we're going to leave you a review. Gotten exactly 0. So support those that support you. Leave Google reviews when you can for those small businesses because it helps them out a ton. Otherwise, guys, good luck in that competition out there. If you have any specific questions that you don't want to ask on stream, hit me up privately. I'm more than happy to talk with you. Or if you want to talk to me directly, just go book some time on through the website, through our contact form. And that'll book time directly in my calendar. But yeah, stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Season 3, Episode 5. Competition doesn't actually suck. Trust me. It's better than you think. Take care.